So, guys, I have a really special video for you today. So, we're finally going to be diving into each and every war pet for each and every meta march, their proper builds, their skills, and everything in between. So, in this video, we're gonna be covering every single meta march and their corresponding war pet build in order to finally run around with our OP pets, wreaking havoc in the map and getting those merits. What is up, guys? We're here back with a brand new Call of Dragons video. So, finally, I stopped being lazy and I made the guide. So, we're going to be diving into each and every war pet, their builds, the corresponding march that works with them, and the optional skills that you can utilize in order to switch up. But before I start showing off the guide, there are few keynotes that you need to keep in mind. This guide focuses primarily on three attributes for every single war pet and thus warping our builds around those attributes. Now, do note putting more than three skills of any attribute kind of starts being useless pretty much. That's the easiest way to put it. So for example, if I have more than three strength skills, the fourth one will not be activated. So you have to keep that in mind as a certain guideline for the builds that I will be showcasing. Of course, if you have different opinions than me, please let me know in the comments down below or join the Discord. The link is in the description. I've shared all the builds there as well, so be sure to check them out. That being said, speaking of the Discord, let's go all the way on to the Meowers Den. Okay, so starting off, this is gonna be the Nico Kinnara or Nico Theia pet, which serves the same purpose for both of them. So starting off, this is gonna be the Nico, Kinnara, or Nicothea. You can freely adjust the skills as you see fit according to your playstyle, as long as you focus on either augmenting your pet for proccing your awakened skills or raw based stats. For example, crit rate and crit damage build. Both are very viable and both are very strong for both marches. But this is the skill set that I would be running with Nicothea or Nico Kinnara. It goes concentration, forceful concentration, chain strike, fierce strike, forceful chain strike. Forceful fierce attack, and this is steadfast chain strike, and finally the shield mitigation for the defense break. It's just overall very solid. The whole skill set works around procking my Nico awakened skill, and of course, procking the fierce attack, which deals a bunch of damage. Of course, there are some optional skills that you can switch and match, like for example, hit back, Swift Revenge, Beast Mark, Pursuit Predation, and Maniac Might in order to either go for base stat augmentation or just greed, roll for the actual skills, and so on and so forth. Next up, we got our Syndrion Ffraegar pet. The Syndrion Ffraegar has full focus on the Chain Strike set, plus full crit rate, plus crit damage augmentation, plus a little bit of extra attack to give them everything they need to constantly keep proccing Syndrome's Awakened skill. Now, what do I mean by that I keep saying that? I want to just make this clear. Chain Strike has a certain interaction with most commanders, is that it kind of counts as a secondary auto attack in a way that it increases the chances of anything that requires a basic attack to land. So, for example, if I have my Nico's Awakened skill that he has a chance to when he launches a normal attack, it has a chance to deal an additional damage that has defense break. When you have Chain Strike in the mix, it kind of gives you two chances per turn in order to land that versus just one chance. And the same principle goes for Syndrome. You now have three chances to land your crits in order to cycle your Awaken skill further. That is why I put a lot of emphasis here. Plus, I kind of like the heal way more than the slight damage augmentation, because the whole thing about the damage of Chain Strike, you don't really pick it up for the damage. More than likely, you just pick it up for the extra effect. So of course, I go for Ravage, I go for Eviscerate. The crit damage, I forgot its name. I go for Forceful Ravage and Super Ravage. I go for Steadfast Chain Strike, and Maniac Might. And there is an optional skill where you can go Shield Breaker if there is anything in the build you don't like or you currently don't have. But remember, don't exceed three of the same attributes that you can have at any given time, otherwise, the build will be ineffective. Next up, we have the Liliya Velyn pet. Now, this pet almost made me go crazy because there are just so many good intelligence skills for the mage pets that I just can't fit them all. There's just too many good skills. Like the whole thing about mage pets is that they're suffering from success, bros. They are suffering from success. They have way too many good skills that I just can't justify keeping something out and putting something in. So the whole build is now wrapped around just doing as much damage as possible while critting and dealing good damage. So here's how the build goes. It has the full Pain Bloom set. It has follow up in order to proc Pain Bloom even further. And it has Light's Guidance, it has Rage Cycling, and it has even more WARPET magic damage, crit damage, in order to just finalize it all and just keep warping around your crit damage for your hero skills and for your Warpet in order to just deal absurd amount of damage and an extra rage in order to cycle your rages even further because the Warped procs every 2 seconds after your deputy casts their secondary, casts their skill. So you want to keep cycling as much as possible. Of course, you have a bunch of options, though the thing is, for intelligence, you're kind of locked into Pain Bloom, Forceful Pain Bloom, and Follow Up. And the reason why you go Follow Up is because when it procs, it actually acts as a proc that increases the damage of your Pain Bloom since it procs your Forceful Pain Bloom stacks that keeps stacking it all the way up to an extra 40% damage, which deals quite a lot of damage in comparison to just, augmenting something else. You just want to speed it up as much as possible in order to deal more damage overall. But of course, if you don't like it, you can always pick some of the optional skills. You have Magic Fortune, Bolt from the Blue, Magic Pulse, Magic Spirits. It's kind of my least favorite one though, because it has the Spirit, and Spirit is not not really one of the best in comparison to the others. And you have, of course, Resonance and Elemental Harmony. Next up, we got Madeline plus any secondary pet. This is, I think, just a perfect pet for Madeline in general. It gives her everything she needs in order to cycle her shields. She got her, I don't know, I forgot their names, but pretty much the whole set about the polar bear. What was the name again? This is so. Wait. What was the name again? Oh yeah, Frost Armor, Enduring Frost Armor, and Blast Armor. And then we got Heartwall, we got Theia Barrier, we got a little bit of March Speed, and for the final skill, we went for Dauntless. Now, there's not really much options to go for because the best tank stats are tied up within endurance, and three of your core skills are tied up already in endurance. So I couldn't really find anything that you could switch around with. But of course, if you have different opinions than me, please be sure to let me know. I was thinking of adding the HP, but I can't really justify it with the low spirit bar that the Frostbear already has. Next up, we got ourselves the Goresh and Skogul, Old Goresh, Madeline, or anything just related to Goresh, and the same goes for Skogul. It's the same principle, same everything. It's all about the Venomous Lizard. It has the Infection, Forceful Infection, Super Infection. It has Counter Strike, Tough Counter Strike, and Wild Counter Strike. And then it has Terria Barrier and the Robust that gives extra HP. And looking at it here, I mean, we should have just added the extra HP there. Nothing to lose. Extra HP is always nice, especially for infantry. They love any base stats, and it's all about just hitting as many counterattacks or being hit as many people by as many people as possible. Next up, we got our Bakshi Emrys pet. So Bakshi Emrys and Forondil Theodore were a bit of a head scratcher for me because I didn't really know what would the best builds be. But then I remembered that both cavalry marchers tend to be rage engines. So what better way to make a rage engine than to augment it so that it does as much damage as possible from those range. So we pretty much have the full exuberance set where we go regular exuberance, false for exuberance, and I don't remember the terminologies for it. And then we go for fierce attack because your deputy is going to be cycling a lot. So having the full fierce attack set will actually do quite a lot of damage, especially because fierce attack at higher stars have damage factors of upwards of like 250, 300, plus its augments is going to deal insane amount of damage. And then finally we go for Maniac Might and Beast Mark in order to increase the crit damage of hero skills, and Maniac Might to give them just that little extra attack that will in turn help with their damage factors, in turn making them deal even more damage in general. As for Forondil and Theodore, same principle. We go for I think it was arrogance. Yeah, the arrogance set, then forceful, then fierce attack set, and then of course beast mark and the maniac might. The same explanation like Bakshi Emrys, though these two were a bit of a head scratchers for me, like these two pets specifically. So if you have a different opinion than me, please be sure to let me know. And if it's a better build, I will be sure to fix it and adjust this thread where everyone can benefit from it, and the full credit will go for whoever helped with this. Next up, we got the Hosk Kinnara pet. Now, the reason why I went for the Venomous Lizard over Snowpeak Rock is now that you can freely build whatever you want and you can be as greedy as you want. Before, I always said Snowpeak Rock was better than Venomous Lizard since you were at a low budget and most of the stuff is really expensive slash hard to rather painful to lose out on. So just being as greedy as you can right now really helps out in general. So going the full venomous lizard set, the full infection set, pretty much guarantees you a bunch of counterattack because the whole playstyle of Hosk Kinnara is that you just go into the march, leave it, and just print a lot of merits afterwards. Like this march doesn't really require that much microing, so you don't really need to augment anything outside of just making your counterattacks as painful as possible. So we go for the infection set, we get Counter Strike, we get Wild Counter Strike to increase the damage of Counter Strike, but we don't get the increased percentage chance to activate it because we don't want to overcap on any of the stats. And then we go for Shield Breaker for the defense mitigation, along with Husk and Kinnara's defense mitigation. And then we go for Hit Back and Revenge, I think it was called. Both of them, one of them augments the crit rate for counterattack, and the other augments the crit damage for counterattack, thus making you a dangerous mobile counterattacking machine. So these are the builds for mostly the meta marches in general. Like I didn't really dive into any niche builds because well they're just niches. They're not really the meta marches at all, and you don't really see them. But of course, if you have any request for any certain warpet for any march, please be sure to let me know. Of course, I did use the professor's document in order to find all the warpet skills in general. I will leave the link to it in the description as well. So big shout out to the professor and big thank you for that document. And on that note, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have different opinions than me, of course, do let me know in the comments down below or in the Discord. Better in the Discord. And yeah, I will leave the links in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you like content like this, please be sure to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Meow meow!